very simple idea.
What was the idea?
So by then I was designing for 23 years, and I realized that at every company, whether it's clothing, food, music, there is always few things that drive the business at the end of the day. If you design a collection, at the end of the day, there'll be 5 pieces that drive the sales. I'm sure it's the same thing in the kitchen. So I said, I'm smart enough to figure out those 5 pieces. Why should I design 200? Let me just start with these 5 pieces, and that's it.
What were they?
They were actually one of those items till today is my best-selling item. It's called the Sean pen.
Yes.
And everyone owns it in 5 colors. And it's ridiculous because it was right on. Bingo. It all started with my ex-husband flight suit. My husband was a pilot in the Israeli Air Force. I looked at the flight suit. I actually, Annie Leibovitz, I won her the 92nd Y. And someone asked her, what do you recommend to a young photographer? And she said, look around yourself and find objects that are right near you. She was talking about how she photographed her dad. And so I looked around, I found my husband's jumpsuit, the flight suit, yeah. And I dissected it and basically created a pant out of it and a jacket out of it. 5 items, that's it. I did it in a very special technique.
What was that?
Which I actually make the garments, and when it's done, I dip it into color. So it from a business perspective, it's a very smart thing to do, because one of the problems that you come across in fashion, and it's the same in food, the life shelf is very short. So in clothes, when you make clothes, it doesn't get bad in food, but people just want the newest thing. So you can't stay with too much inventory. So by dipping it by demand, I never have leftovers. I basically always cut and sew and dip by demand. That was great till I opened my own shops, because when I was basically answering other people's orders, I could do that. But once I had to plan for my own retail stores, it changed. But in any event, it was very smart, little, clean, tight concept that financially allowed me to invest very little and to grow the company organically. I started from there, and then I started to add pieces to it and categories to it. By now we have bags, swimwear, men's, women's, way beyond those 5 pieces. But I think it's a smart thing to do, to start with something that you really believe in. And the proof is that piece is still my number 1 selling pen, so I guess I knew what I was doing.
I always, when chefs leave and they say they're going to start their own restaurant, what advice do I have? And I always, for me, I like to start small and grow. That's what we did, whether it's the restaurant, whether it's doing parties for other people, whether it's starting a little cafe. It's all been part of a process. I never had, I have an idea, let's do that. It's always, my husband used to say that, he's an architect. He used to say, I never had an idea. It's not about an idea. It's about,
a process.
we make an almond tart in the winter with pears, but then in the summer we make it with strawberries. It just grows.
I think design, I always tell this to my designers, but also to more of the business side of things. Design is a process.
Yeah,
Cooking is a process.
It's a process.
I start with something, and then it evolves, and then people say, but it's when you have people involved in your business and they you get your sketches early on, and they said, but wait, you this is what you did, but why are you here? I said, because it's a process. I only know when I start. I don't know where I end. I think it's hard for people who are not creative to understand that the design, it's a living thing, and when you're ready to say, okay, I'm done. By the way, you never stop, because it just I always say that my collections is one collection that I started in 2003, and it just keeps growing and evolving, and that's why it's a play on the same theme. It's like, how do you take a white shirt and make it better and better and better? How do you take any element that in your wardrobe, a P code, and how do you make it better and better and better? And it's so great to know that you can make it actually better.